Today we will be showing you how to replace the library chassis for an IBM 3582 tape library. This replacement will require downtime and should be scheduled with the system administrator. There are a few reasons that you may decide you need a replacement 3582 chassis. The picker may not be putting or pulling tapes correctly from the magazines or drives. The barcode scanner may not be able to scan the tapes correctly, or there may be an issue with tape drive communication and the replacement of the tape drives has not fixed the issue. If any of these circumstances is occurring, you will need to replace the library chassis. It needs to be noted that some hardware may need to be moved over from the faulty chassis to the replacement depending on what you have currently installed in the chassis. This includes front magazines, the remote management unit or RMU, and the storage networking controller or SNC. One thing that you will not be moving over is the control card from the faulty chassis to the replacement. Doing so may cause irreparable failure to the replacement chassis and void your warranty. The first thing you will need to do is verify that both drives are unloaded. If there are tape cartridges in either drive, you will need to try using the front panel commands to move the tape from the drive to a magazine slot. If the command fails because the picker is not functioning correctly, you will need to open the front door of the library and push the picker to the side and use the eject button on the front of the drive to eject the tape. The next thing you will need to do is obtain all relevant settings from the front panel of the faulty chassis. This will include the RMU settings if you have an RMU present, along with the SCSI IDs of the drives if your drives are SCSI connected, or the fiber settings of the drives if they are fiber channel connected. Once you have verified that the drives are empty, and you have all relevant settings, and downtime is scheduled, you will start by flipping off the power in the front of the library. Then you will move around to the back and remove the power cord from the power supply. The next step will be to label and then remove the data cables and/or terminator from the rear of the tape drives. If you have an RMU and/or an SNC installed, you will also need to remove all cables from these as well. Now that all cables are removed from the rear of the library, you can remove the tape drives and also the RMU and SNC if you have them installed. Once all pieces of hardware are removed from the rear of the library, you can move back around to the front. You will now need to remove all tapes from the library. To do this, first open the front door and the IE station slot. If there is a tape in the IE station slot, you can remove it and then close the door. Next, you will remove the front magazines. You can feel free to leave any tapes in these magazines, as you will simply be reinstalling the entire magazine assembly into the replacement chassis. Then you can reach inside and start removing the tapes from the rear slots if there are any present. The picker may be in the way, so you can carefully push the picker to the right out of the way so you can remove all tapes from the rear slots. To remove each tape, simply pull up on the small release tab on the bottom of the slot and the tape will be free to pull out. Once the library is completely empty of all tape cartridges, you can close the main door. Now you can carefully slide the faulty library chassis out of the rack and set it to the side out of the way. Take the replacement chassis and carefully slide it into place and ensure that it is secure in the rack. The first thing you will need to do is open the main door of the library and install all tapes along with the front magazines into the open media bay. Then close the front door. Before moving to the rear of the library, also make sure that the library power switch is flipped off. In the rear of the library, you will first want to install the RMU and SNC modules if you have them. This may involve removing cover plates from the replacement chassis if they are present. Once you have these modules installed, you will now need to install the tape drives. Please note, inside each empty drive bay are two small plastic connectors that help guide each tape drive into the backplane connector of the drive bay. If you push the drive in either too quickly or crooked, you could break the connectors as they are quite fragile. Carefully line up each drive with the black track in the drive bay and slowly push it in, ensuring that you do not break the plastic connectors. Once the drive begins to seat itself, you can push firmly to fully seat the drive and tighten the thumb screws that hold it in place. Once both drives are seated, you can install all cables in the back of the tape drives according to the labeling you did earlier. Then you can install the cables into the RMU and SNC if they are present. Last, you will plug the power cable into the power supply on the rear of the library before returning to the front. Flip the power switch on and wait for the library to initialize. This should take approximately 5 minutes. During this time, you will see an initial setup wizard. You will want to set all parameters to the same as you got from the faulty unit before uninstalling it. Once the parameters are set and you are at the main library status screen, the library should be fully initialized. You will want to take time to log into both the RMU and the SNC, if you have them, and verify that everything is set the same as it was previously. As these settings are held on the individual modules, everything should have stayed the same. You will now need to reconfigure your backup software to be able to see and use the replacement chassis. This may involve rescanning the hardware devices at an operating system level first if you have SCSI connected drives. For our purposes, since we use Semantic Backup Exec, we then need to restart the software services so that the chassis can be detected and used properly. Your backup software procedure may be different. Any questions regarding backup software should be directed to your software support or manufacturer. If you are having any issues with the chassis replacement procedure, or you are still getting errors after the replacement is complete, please open a ticket through the Rocket Plus customer portal. Thanks for watching. This has been another video by the Top 10 USA Video Production Team. We look forward to sharing more content with you going forward, so please check out our YouTube channel and please subscribe so that you get notified whenever we release a new piece of content.